If you want to have a beautiful home but simply don't have the budget, you are in the right place. Today, I'm going to take you guys to a place called the Goodwill Outlet, also sometimes referred to as the Goodwill Bins. I'm going to show you exactly what 3 hours at the bins looks like, how much I spent, and what we end up doing with the pieces we bring home. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Starting off, when to go, when's the best day, best time to go. I like to go in the morning on a weekday because it's less busy, so less people to kind of fight over all of the good things that are actually in these bins. My next tip is I'm not focused on what the item is intended for. I'm focusing on shape, on scale, and those things can really help tailor the things I'm going to actually put in my cart. On so many designer sites, there's so many different furniture options that have a wavy kind of silhouette. So even if I'm not going to use this for its intended purpose, which is for a wine rack, it's still worth picking up for a few dollars because I'm getting the general shape that I'm really trying to look for in furniture pieces that I see online. Next up is glassware. This can be a slippery slope. You want to make sure that you are going in with some intention because it can be really easy just to collect every single piece that you find. But you want to make sure that you have plans for the things that you find so you don't end up with a bunch of glassware sitting in a glassware cupboard. Is the cheapest material to buy at the Goodwill Bins at just 49 cents a pound, so you can get quite a bit of glassware for literally less than $1. Just do a thorough check of the glassware, make sure there's no cracks or chips or something that you couldn't fix if you needed to. Also, now is really the best time to shop off-season holiday decor. You can find really beautiful things from Hearth and Hand, vintage, amazing holiday pieces are really in the bins right now, and you can find great deals on them, especially if they're glassware, for pennies on the dollar. Also, just make sure that if you see something that happens to be glass, but maybe you love the silhouette, the shape is perfect, scale is perfect, but you don't love that it's glass, don't forget about the power of just painting over those things, because color is the easiest thing to change in any home decor piece and can give you so much longevity in the piece that you're purchasing. Also, any frames are then also considered glassware if the front of the frame is glass. So make sure that you're really checking the frames because you can save a significant amount of money by shopping these things secondhand that otherwise, if you shopped in big box stores, would be much more expensive. So this is about at 9:30. I got there at 8 o'clock. So about an hour and a half of shopping the bins. These are the things that I came across. Now I'm going to really take an inventory of all of the items that I have and decide what I really think I can revive and bring back to life and have a use for, or what maybe I should put back in the bins. So this is what I like to call round one. I take everything that's in my basket, separate it based on if it's glass or if it's not glass, and my total came to $31 for all of these pieces. But before I leave, usually by the time I've checked out, took everything back to my car, another fresh set of carts comes through. So I always like to look there. I'm there anyway. Take another 10-15 minutes just to make sure that I didn't miss anything that was worthwhile picking up, like this Casaluna bath towel. Exact bath towel. I could go to Target right now and spend $15 on it, or I could shop at the bins. If you're ever on the fence, I still recommend putting it in the cart anyway and then stepping off to the side, doing a quick Google search. Also, if you ever see a fabric tag, it's usually an indicator that that might be a vintage piece. Also look at the materiality. This is Egyptian cotton made in Portugal, so you know it's good quality from long fiber. Just make sure there's no stains and that you can wash it, and usually that's when I feel most confident bringing it home. Again, not focusing on what the item was originally used for. This is one of those cork tabletops. You could turn this into a bulletin board, add it to a different piece of furniture, but it's still worth picking up for just about $1. The total from round number 2, I also got a few things for my kids, was just about $9. But before I leave, I do like to just check the retail side to see what is available. Things on the retail side are priced per item and not per pound. It's obviously way more organized, but you do have to be really, again, intentional about the things you're putting in your cart because it does add up fairly quickly. I'm loving these mortar candle holders from Olive Atelier, but I really don't want to spend $145. Also, these little pieces for spring, like these paper bag vases I'm seeing everywhere, anything for hosting. I found this crate and barrel tray. All of these things, if I shopped retail, would be so much more expensive. So if you can find them for just a few dollars. So on this specific trip, this is what about 3 hours and $50 can get you at the thrift store. Now it's time to go home and show you guys exactly how I plan on utilizing all these pieces in my space. Starting off with the first piece that we found, which was this wine rack. I really liked, again, the silhouette of this wine rack. I think there's a lot of different ways this could be utilized besides, of course, just for wine. Everything always gets a good antibacterial disinfectant spray and clean. Because I wanted to spray paint this piece, I didn't love the cherry wood tone, just really doesn't go with my space. So I did decide to separate all of the pieces from each other so that way I could get a nice clean finish when I do go into spray paint. If there were any big gashes of wood taken out, I would fill and sand them at this point, but because there weren't, it was basically just scuffed. I just decided to go right in with my spray paint. Just use this one, Rust-Oleum in Canyon Black, and then once that coat dries, I then go in with a matte clear sealer. Once the sealant coat dries, I then flip it over and do the exact same thing on the other side. For the pieces that connected the wooden pieces together, I don't have a lot of silver in my house, so I decided to remove all of the screws as well as those connecting pieces. Just stuck them through some poster board so I could spray paint them with some metallic brass spray paint, and then a dusting of black spray paint, and then sealed it. And then now it's just time to connect the pieces back together, and you can definitely just stop here in the DIY. You don't have to turn this into anything else if a wine rack is all you're really looking for. But these can be utilized in so many different ways. I've seen people use them for bathroom storage like towels, or I've seen people use them for garage storage for accessories like hats and small bags. Some of you may remember when I found that huge tray from the Hartville thrift shop for just $6, decided to take the bottom piece of that tray out, as well as the cork piece that we found most recently at the Goodwill bins, and the tray will sit on top. That was really the only piece I wanted to work on, and that was to attach the bottom piece of that tray to the cork piece that we found from the Goodwill bins, so that way it would be enough thickness. Added some twisted trim around the perimeter of this bottom piece here, and then just painted it using the same spray paint that we used for the wine rack, and this was the end result. Next project piece was the woven basket. Lots of things I liked about the basket. The scale, the fact that it has a lid, really liked the clasps and the chain. I liked all of those details. We just needed to give it a good clean and of course fix the chain. The main thing that needed to change here for me was just the color, and that can be done so really easily. If ever you are trying to give your thrifted baskets more of a grayish look, this is the combination I like to use. It is 1 part antiquing wax from Krylon and another part Tismith gray. Make sure that the brush is wet so it's not such a harsh application and everything will go on fairly evenly. I just usually do 1 coat of this, and it just kills a lot of those orange, red, yellow tones from many of the baskets that we find from the thrift store. We're wanting to give it a more Pottery Barn-like tone without the Pottery Barn price tag. Moving along now to some glassware items that we found, like this vase, originally from Hobby Lobby at $59.99. I popped on any table with fresh stems, immediately will give your space an elevated look. This little oval ribbed tray is a dead ringer for something you would find at McGee & Co. for 20 times the price. A few more little styling accessories like this magnifying glass and pump dispenser. This double lumen glass vase I thought was really interesting. I'm imagining that it probably came with some sort of a base so it would sit upright, but I really wanted to put it up on the wall. So I grabbed a plate hook from Amazon. Because I wanted the florals to be more of the statement, I just painted it with some white epoxy spray paint so it would be water and wipe resistant. Pieces like this are great because they're just the perfect little accent, but for just a few dollars when you shop secondhand. Moving into our organizational finds. So when I saw these frames here, I thought these would be perfect to put on the side of my fridge for meal planning and weekly planning. Sometimes when I'm looking for these specific planners, they're so loud and they just really clash with the rest of my decor. So I just went to Canva, printed each one of these out, and then filled these in the frames. Added some magnets so they would obviously stick to my refrigerator, but now it's not so loud. It's still not my favorite thing to look at, but it's gonna add a lot of functionality to my space. As for the letter tray from Target, Target. It seems like we always pile our important papers, probably because then our kids can't accidentally grab something important. We put it on top of the fridge. Rather than trying to change our behavior, I'm just going to stick this tray here. That way we can keep it contained and we can pull it down when we need to do something with those important documents. Is the pottery, stoneware, ceramics section of the thrift store. This is always my weakness. I get into some trouble here sometimes because I love so many different pieces. Like I loved this stone candle, just added some mortar to it to make it feel a little bit more like the ones from Olive Atelier. Perfect in a bathroom, perfect in a shelf. I had a 35% off coupon that day, so this was only about $2, and I think it looks super similar on a budget. Loved these little flowers so much, decided to just paint them with some brass paint and then dust over with some black spray paint just to give them a more anthropology look. I love putting dainty pieces like this in my daughter's room, but in a budget-friendly way. I also love any pieces that you can use just for shelf styling or even just hosting. Displaying your food in beautiful ways doesn't have to cost a fortune, especially when you shop secondhand. For holiday organization, how I do it, I will go through all of my holiday decor. Usually I end up with 1 or 2 bins to donate. I leave with an empty bin, and then I have that bin now to fill with all the goodies that I plan on using for the upcoming Christmas season. Moving along now to textiles. I think this is usually where I lose people because I know what they're afraid of, and I used to be afraid of the same thing. Who has shopped religiously at the thrift store for the last 5 years, I've never once had a problem. I take it from my bag and it immediately goes into the washing machine. Found the bath towel and the hand towel. Had I purchased these from Target, let's say, this would be almost $30, but because I shopped secondhand, this was less than $1 for both pieces. As for these washcloth towels, I'd never heard of the brand Peacock Alley, but just feeling them, they felt like they were really good quality, so did a little search, and it turns out that this is a luxury bedding and towel brand. And so I'm glad that I picked these up. I think rolled on a beautiful tray in our powder bathroom just gives an elevated experience, but on a budget. Found 6 of these knotted placemats here. These are going to be perfect for the spring and summer months, especially when we're eating outside and I don't want to damage our table. Washed them, then just brushed out the tassels, and they're really good as new. Another quick suggestion, if you don't have a Goodwill Bins by you, but you have a Crazy Bins by you, or something of that variety, you can also find really good deals, especially for textiles here. So anything in the bins on Wednesdays for us is $1.50. So I found this really beautiful Casa Luna pillow cover, which I could totally choose to just use it as that, or I could just take it for some really good quality fabric. Also found this little hand towel from Threshold, as well as the matching bath mat. So he actually bundled the two together, so it was $1.50 for both of them. Also found this really beautiful shower curtain from Hearth & Hand for, again, just $1.50. Could be used as a shower curtain, which I will, but you could also use this as a tablecloth to make different types of accessories for your home. I could go to Target and spend almost $30 on this exact same shower curtain, but I would just rather save the money in areas where I can and get the exact same look. I also just like to think about kind of like the holiday decor, but just thinking about the future and how I plan on decorating my space for fall. Let's say if I find something that's a good price, like that pillow is just $1.50, I'm not gonna find that fall pillow at Target for that price during the fall months. So it's better to just pick it up now and save it for when the time comes. My grand total for all of those Target textiles was just under $5, which is a really big savings. Another thing to check too are the books, because you can find really beautiful coffee table books that are upwards around $50, $60 for just $2. With all that being said, that really wraps it up for today's video. So a little bit of a different style of a video, but I hope I was able to get to some of your questions about my process when I'm thrifting. How long does it take me to find certain items? Just one day at the thrift store for a few hours, walk away with some amazing finds. So with all that being said, I hope everybody is having an amazing week, and I will see you back here next Sunday. Bye for now.